Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Psychic Lauren, and today I'm going to be doing a reaction video to other psychics in TV and movies. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Lauren. I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, I'm an animal communicator, but most importantly, I'm an intuitive coach, and that's a lot of the videos that I do on my YouTube channel. So I've been doing psychic work for about 4 or 5 years now, and I've seen a lot of psychics in the media, and I came up with this video idea to basically look at some clips of psychics in movies, psychics on television, and just show you guys what I think is accurate and what I think is not. Because I think there's a lot of bad stereotypes out there around psychics, and they perpetuate the most in the media. So I'm just going to be doing some fun reactions to some of these clips. Some of them I've seen, some of them I have not. So let's get started. So the first video clip that I'm going to be watching is from the movie Ghost. I think this movie was made in 1990, and I felt like it was one of the few that actually got some things right. I haven't watched this in a long time, but let's see how it goes.
What I don't understand is, why did he come back?
I don't know.
Why is he still here?
He's stuck, that's what it is. He's in between worlds. You know, it happens sometimes that the spirit gets yanked out so quick that the essence still feels like it has work to do on here.
Would you stop rambling?
I don't think I'm rambling. I'm just answering a question. He's got an attitude now.
I don't have.
He's got an attitude now. That definitely happens with spirit. And sometimes, especially, this is kind of accurate because if they do get stuck or I like to call them very earthbound spirits, they tend to hang out more here than with, you know, wherever we're supposed to go next. And I think that's because they have unfinished business. They want to talk to people. So I feel like the more stuck they are, the more bias they have, which is why I always tell people, like, even though your mom is saying, like, to go do this, you know, that's her opinion. You don't have to follow it. So I think the spirit having an attitude is totally a thing.
I have an attitude.
Yes, you do have an attitude. We're having a little discussion.
Don't
you, goddamn it, me, don't you take the Lord's name in vain with me. You understand? I don't take
Would
that.
you relax?
No, you relax. You're the dead guy. You want me to help you? You better apologize.
Sorry. I apologize. Okay? Now would you sit down?
What I like about this is it's subtly, in a way, even though they probably did not mean this in a psychic sense, but this is the psychic setting her boundaries with the spirit. And I think that's super important. If you don't set boundaries with spirits and say, you don't get to treat me like this, then they'll walk all over you.
Word for word.
Yes. He wants me to tell you what he's saying word for word.
Which doesn't always happen. For me, it's more likely that when I'm talking to a spirit that I'm getting blips of where they're at in the room. I can't see them fully like in this clip. It's more, I get like little hits of what they're saying. It's never like a full conversation. It's more of like little blips and little spurts of where they are physically in the room or what I'm actually hearing. So sometimes word for word doesn't actually exist. Sometimes it's very much just like feelings, emotions. I can feel what the spirit is feeling, but very rarely is it like a full dialogue that's just coming across as if I'm speaking to an actual person.
I know the man who killed me.
He knows the man who killed him.
His name is Willie Lopez, and I know where he lives.
His name is Willie Lopez. He's Puerto Rican. He knows where he lives.
Write it down.
He wants you to write it down.
You
How
write it
convenient.
down.
I ain't no damn secretary.
Just do it.
I think that that's great. It's a great clip. I think the misconception here, if any, is just how clear information comes through from spirit. It's never as clear as a conversation as if somebody's in the room. But I think this is a really good example of how I have to sort of be aware of the spirit, but also be aware of the person in front of me and translate, and how important it is for you to actually get it right. So the next clip is from one of my favorite TV shows called The OA. I would suggest watching it just because it's an amazing show. But this specifically is season 2, episode 3. And this is when the group goes to see a psychic because one of their friends is on the other side and they're hoping to communicate with them. And I just remember being kind of angry at this because it's such a new show and we still have this perception of how psychics are. And I just really hope that we can one day change this. And so I'm gonna watch it again.
Who is Rachel to you?
None of us knew her.
So a stranger made contact? That's so odd. Perhaps one of you is a medium and not yet aware of it.
Highly likely.
How did Rachel make herself known to you?
She was inside my mirror.
Is that broken? Cover that up! What were you thinking bringing that into my house? This is very bad. She'll be looking for a new place to reside. Rachel's spirit could come into one of my mirrors. I don't want a spirit trapped in my house. Help me, we need to cover these mirrors. There's 2 upstairs. One up.
Oh my god. Okay, first off, spirits can't travel through mirrors. I think what makes me the most angry about this is the actress that decided to not do her research and portray this stereotype without thinking about how it hurt a lot of people in our industry and the work that we do. One of the things that I talk about with spirits is, although we may see them in our space, they have no control over our space. And that's one of the biggest issues that a lot of TV portrays, is that spirit can possess objects, or spirits can move things in your home, and that's just not true. We occupy this space and they do not, and so we have ultimate control over our energy, our dimension. So if we decide that they can't be in our space anymore, we set that intention and they have to respect that.
One up the hall, one in the bedroom. Cover that! Hurry! You know, when you're done, you can go. It's for the best. No charge, just go.
She didn't mean any disrespect.
Certain spirits will do anything for an object to rest in. I need you to leave.
We haven't even tried to contact her
It's
yet.
not safe.
Can't leave without trying.
There has to be a way, please.
I'm gonna have to charge you for the deluxe package.
Oh, that's fine.
I think that this type of psychic does represent a lot of what people think psychics are, you know, charging you for extra packages, charging you a lot of money, and that definitely happens. There's a lot of bad seeds out there. So I think it's super important to be aware of that, which is why I made a video on how to know if a psychic is good or bad. Ethically, I would say that this psychic is just like rude, and she's also like very like all over the place, and she has like crazy emotions, and I think that stereotype is also wrong. I think most psychics that do this work are normal people, and they know how to manage their emotions, and they're not going to freak out. So I think that unfortunately this is just a lot of bad choices made by the director and the actress.
It's a message from Rachel.
What does it mean?
I don't know. She's escaping.
Well, it's a mirror.
Hands.
Going through something. A blind woman comes out of a bunker and she can see, and she goes into another dimension.
It's so easy.
Alive.
Wait, there's more. She's saying more. BBA.
It's so convenient. I wish it were this easy to receive messages. Not only is the spirit just like turning on the TV to communicate, but she's zooming in, she's rewinding, she's repeating things. Oh, that would be so nice. Although I do think that sometimes spirit can mess with electrical things, I don't think it happens nearly to this extent, like ever. And I think this is just, it's a tool that they needed to use in the story to communicate a certain point. And so I get it. Like a lot of these clips, you know, it's a narrative tool that they have to use to get the plot moving forward. But just so you know, that's not how it happens. I wish it were that easy. But usually spirit, I mean, you might get those little blips and you might get numbers or letters in your head, but sometimes you're wrong and sometimes you're off. Sometimes you can't get names very well. Like I'm not good with names. But that's just how the movie industry is. So the last video clip that I'm going to share is from the classic movie Poltergeist. I have not seen this in forever. I don't think I was even doing psychic work the last time that I saw this. So I'm very curious to see this clip again.
A terrible presence is in there with her. So much rage, so much betrayal. I don't know what hovers over this house, but it was strong enough to punch a hole into this world, take your dog away from you. It keeps Carolyn very close to it.
So I think this movie is pretty old. I don't know how old. It looks like the 70s or 80s is my guess. I don't know. I'm just judging by camera stuff. But their idea of what psychics and mediums were back then is even more misconstrued than some of the recent stuff now. And theoretically what this medium is saying is that this scary entity took their daughter to this other dimension. I don't necessarily believe in possession. Spirit can't come into our world and mess it up. That's just, they're not of this plane. We have priority, is how I like to think of it. And so same goes the other way. You can't just be removed from this world and get stuck in their world. So I think that's a misconception here that probably freaked out a lot of people back in the day, that this could be something that happens, but totally not a thing that happens. I think the most that can happen in this sense is just that you get so involved with a spirit or another entity that you sort of lose yourself, but I would say that's the most extreme that could possibly happen.
To us, it is the beast.
Carolyn? Carolyn, it's Mommy. Can you hear me? Carolyn, please tell Mommy hello.
Try again. She's under restraint.
What? Who's restraining her?
There are many arms about her. She thinks it's safe. Quickly, who is she more threatened by, you or your husband?
Neither.
Carolyn,
Be cross with her.
Steady.
Be angry with her. You'll never see her again.
Carolyn, I want you to answer me.
I don't even know where to start. There's so many issues with this. But I think in general, we think that with spirits that they will respond physically or auditorily in our space like we do. And so there's a lot of shows where people yell at ghosts or yell at spirits and try to get them to interact with the space. And then what happens is nothing happens and we get frustrated because, you know, we're not getting any information back. And that's not the way to communicate with spirits. You can't ask them to come in and physically manipulate things because that's not how they communicate. You have to know how to use your psychic ability to communicate with spirits. So the frustration here is something that I see a lot in people because they don't quite understand how to communicate with spirits and use their psychic ability. So they rely on physical communication to fill that gap. And obviously it doesn't work and they get really angry.
Tell her if she doesn't answer you, she's going to get a spanking.
Oh, come on, I've never spanked at children.
Honey, please, just tell her.
Carolyn, you answer your parents or you're gonna get a real spanking from the both of us.
She's away from him. Shh. Tell her to go to the light.
No!
They'll follow her. They've been following her for weeks. Now tell her.
It's all right, it's all right. Tell her, Diane. Run to the light, Caroline. Run as fast as you can.
So I think obviously you're not going to hear a spirit as loud and clear as this. Not everyone in the room is going to hear it as if like a phone is ringing. If you hear spirit, it's very much in your inner mind, it's in your inner ear. If you want to learn more about that, check out my video on clairaudience. And basically what they're doing is they're taking clairaudience and putting it very literally, and so that the audience can hear it, and so the actors can hear it in their space and know what's going on. And so I think a lot of these misconceptions come about because the filmmakers need to portray what's happening. And if you did all of this accurately, it would be very confusing and it would be hard to follow. So I understand why the filmmakers do this as a filmmaker myself, but again, it makes sense how all of these misconceptions have sort of shaped how we view psychic ability and psychic hits and psychic information.
Run to the light, baby! Mommy is in the light.
Tell her you're waiting for her.
Mommy is waiting for you in the light. I hate you for that.
I think the main problem with this whole video is the assumption that she is stuck on the other side. And so they're getting her to go to the light, which is typically something that you do if you're trying to help a spirit fully cross over. They're already past, but maybe they're too earthbound and you want them to move forward and get out of a space and realize that they are past. But here, it doesn't make sense because, you know, if she's still technically alive and they're trying to bring her back, why would they send her to the light? So there's a lot of conflicting information here that just makes it confusing to watch. And so I can understand, like back in it was made in 82, how that would, if you've never had any sort of reference of psychic work or psychic abilities, this would just freak you out. And so it makes so much sense why in a lot of our media we believe that spirits are going to take over our bodies, they're going to suck us away, that we have no control. But check out my video on spirits and what they can and can't do, because I talk about how much you are in control of your own space. They do not have authority over anything you do. And as soon as you realize that and you know that, spirits become so less scary and so boring, honestly. And the way we interact with them becomes a whole different thing. So that's all the clips that I'm gonna look at today. Let me know in the comments below if you have a clip of a psychic in TV or on film, somebody that you would like me to watch and react and give feedback to. So leave me suggestions in the comments below and I will get to your videos and watch them. As a filmmaker and as a psychic, I think it's so important that we get rid of these stereotypes because psychics are everyday people, psychics are people like me. As soon as the media can accurately portray what we do, it's gonna make things a lot less scary, it's going to make it a lot less taboo, and it's gonna get rid of a lot of negative stereotypes around psychic work, which I think is super important. So if you're ever watching a video or a TV show and you see a psychic and you don't quite feel like it's correct, it might not be. So I like to always say, at the end of the day, always remember to trust your own intuition. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.